So please take away for the talk for around 1 hour and a half, please. And
Okay.
in the meantime, can we stop you to ask some questions if we have some from our student? It's okay?
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you can stop whenever you feel comfortable. So over here,
Yeah.
we very happy to discuss some more detail if you want us to have a conversation. Yeah. Okay, I can see your screen now.
Okay. Can I start the presentation, Lu?
Yes, please. And
Okay.
if you want, please make a short introduction yourself for us to know you more about you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute, yeah. Wait a minute.
Hello, Nanda. You are currently mute your mic.
Can you please make your full screen? Yes, I can see your full screen now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Good night, everyone. Thank you to have me here, and trust me. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nanda from Indonesia. I'm Kaizen Sales Application Specialist for Southeast Asia. Today, let me sharing information to you and do discussion related to DNA extraction and NGS for metagenomic study. I will start this presentation with term of metagenomic. Metagenomic itself is the study of the collective genetic material obtained from environmental sample, encompassing all the DNA from various organisms within a specific ecosystem rather than focusing on a single organism. This field helped in understanding the structure and function of microbial communities and can identify microorganism or viruses that present in natural environment through the analysis of their genetic sequence. Okay. These slides demonstrate the research workflow for sample analysis, highlighting the significance of each stage. It began with sample collection and stabilization, where proper handling is crucial to maintain sample integrity. A mistake at this stage can undermine the entire research process. And the next step is isolation, which involves separating key component like DNA or RNA. And its success depends on the quality of the initial sample collection. After isolation, the sample are subjected to downstream analysis using techniques such as NGS, PCR, digital PCR, and functional analysis. Uh, The final stage is data analysis, where these results are processed and interpreted. And the essential point is that the two first two steps, sample collection and stabilization and isolation, are vital. No matter how sophisticated the subsequent methods here, they won't be effective if the initial steps are compromised. Therefore, careful attention to this early stage is crucial for successful research outcome. Okay, in this event, we will focus on two parts of sample technology, that is sample management and disruption or purification step. And Kaizen offers solution at each step to optimize result, emphasizing the importance of this foundational process for successful downstream analysis. Here, I show you the critical elements of sample management that essential for maintaining sample integrity throughout the research process. Choosing sample source and collection method is a first step, involving the selection of the right source and proper collection technique to ensure that the sample is representative and free from contamination. And the second is stabilization, is the next crucial element, where samples are immediately treated post-collection to preserve their condition and prevent any degradation. And finally, for transport and storage are pivotal, require careful control of environmental factors like temperature and humidity to maintain sample quality until they are ready for analysis together. In general, the researcher will face some challenge when dealing with sample, such as analyte stability, and then enough space and proper equipment, and sometimes researchers still don't have an standardization procedure. Here, we will compare the stability of DNA and RNA over time. The top graph shows DNA concentration, which remain relatively stable at high level before gradually degrading. This indicates that DNA is inherently more stable and less prone to rapid degradation. In contrast, the bottom graph represent RNA concentration, which start to degrade more quickly after collection, showing a step decline before stabilizing at a lower level. RNA is significantly more fragile and susceptible to degradation compared to DNA. These differences highlight the importance of immediate stabilization and proper handling of RNA sample to preserve their integrity for downstream analysis. And understanding this stability profile is crucial for designing appropriate protocol for sample collection, storage, and analysis in research workflow. Okay. In this picture, I show you this then aspiration result throughout through gel electrophoresis. Here you can see number of band and smearing level increase each day in 1 week trial. So it shows that even then DNA much stable than RNA, but here the degradation still happen over time. Okay, degradation or fragmentation in DNA can affect several upstream workflows, especially if the researcher or user using method like PCR, digital PCR, NGS that using long read library and RFLP method. Meanwhile, NGS that using short read library is not really affected here. So knowing your sample is much better to have, since there are several sample type that naturally giving high fragmented DNA. For example, FFPE tissue sample. Okay. This image demonstrates the stability of RNA over time. Each lane represents RNA sample extracted different time point, 0, 5, 10 until 60 minutes. The top gel show that without stabilization, RNA degradation becomes evident in the band become progressively faint and more fragmented over time. We all know that instability mostly because RNA structure is unstable because the structure is single strand, but there another important factor that degradation is high for RNA. That is extension of an enzyme, so-called RNase. RNase are cellular enzyme which digest and degrade RNA. It's most stable, so it's hard to eliminate. It's hard to inactive. But here there are several compounds we can use to inactive this activity of RNase. There are four. One is using chaotropic salt. For example, this compound is guanidine isothiocyanate, GITC. But the weakness from this compound is RNases. It is not enough to inactive the RNase because the reaction is irreversible. So once GITC is reduced, the RNase will reactivate in the sample. And the second is using reducing agents such as DDT and BME. This compound can permanently disrupt the disulfide bonds such that the RNase cannot refold. So in our protocol, we recommend BME because if we using DDT is insoluble at the very high salt concentration used in our kit. And after that, we can use inhibitor, specific inhibitor. It can bind to RNase and temporarily inactive them. And for the simple method,
thằng này đọc dở hơn anh Hằng nha, thằng này nói dở hơn anh Ấn Độ đó.
Okay.
Ấn Độ đó, nó nói dở hơn anh đó.
So sorry, Nadan. Thiếu Nguyễn, please, can you turn up your microphone, please?
Okay, I continue this. Okay, for the simple method is we just have to put the sample in extreme cold or in the cold situation, so that the RNase will reduce the activities. Okay, in this part, we will talk about what proper condition for transport and storage the sample of each sample type. Okay, for the blood is a type of sample that commonly used to get material genetic from host and living cell that attach in the host. And we know that for common collection tube, we use ADTA tube. Using this tube, blood can be stored either short time and long time storage. In short time purpose, we can store the sample at 4 degrees Celsius up to 4 weeks, and for long term we can store it in minus 20 to minus 80 degrees Celsius for months to 2 year storage. And by using this collection tube, we can transport the sample overnight in room temperature condition. And if take longer time for transpiration, we can anticipate by put the sample along with dry ice. So the lifetime of the sample will be longer. So sample containing a high amount of inhibitor substance like humic acid, bilirubin, and complex carbohydrate which interfere with downstream application like quantitative PCR, mRNA enrichment, and CDN synthesis. And another factor we should consider is high content of nuclease present in this type of sample. So storage this type sample in cold condition promptly after collection is very recommended here. Even there are some journal mention about possibility storage the sample in room temperature for a few hours. And same as stool sample, this kind of sample that is soil sample is sample complex and diverse and most challenging for microbial nucleic acid isolation. The sample type produce humic substance that is strong inhibitor for upstream workflow because this compound is complex and mix of organic molecule. So have high change can co-purify with DNA or RNA. And in this type of sample, they have a high content of nuclease, heavy metals, and polysaccharide that high in this sample. So it's other challenge for us to get pure and intact DNA or RNA. And for soil sample, seeding or sieve sample can increase DNA yield consistency and storage the sample in cold condition promptly after collect sample is highly recommended. For other sample type, we can found here. For FFPE sample, mostly the user should pay attention for preparation step FFPE tissue. The user have to follow standard protocol and pay attention to critical point as I mentioned in this list. And for a culture cell, before we storage, we have to separate cell with dilution or liquid separate cell from dilution or liquid by centrifugation and store it at minus 20 to minus 80 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, plant tissue, besides store in cold condition, you can utilize drying method by silica gel, put dehydrator and lyophilizer, and store it in room in only room temperature. Okay, for the stabilization step is critical point to get optimum extraction DNA or RNA result. From previous slide I just present to you, we know most of sample type has a problem with nuclease content, and the stabilization agent can help to inactive this and avoid degradation. But not only that, in the stabilization agent, we can find other properties that help DNA, RNA reside in a good environment. And during collection sample or after collection, here, these two kind of the stabilization can help storage sample longer before extraction step and help maintain the stability during transport activities that always have unpredictable condition. Maybe some of you ask me why stability sample is important. The answer is because we can avoid false result. Here, the one of example in gene expression study, we have to avoid change mRNA composition so we can maintain true gene expression profiling. Without RNA stabilization, there will not be any accurate analysis of gene expression. Not only will there be enzymatic degradation of the RNA, but sample manipulation can trigger down regulation of some genes and gene induction of other. Several sample types have high toughness level, so a user have to consider use suitable disruption method for certain sample type. There are different methods used to disrupt tissue sample. Below you see example of mechanical enzymatic disruption method. For microbiome study, the disruption step will focus on bacteria, yeast, since this organism has tough cell barrier. We can utilize mechanical, chemical, biological, and physical method to disrupt the cell barrier of bacteria and yeast. However, only several methods that currently popular to use by researchers, such as utilization bead mills, enzymatic lysis, and lysis buffer, or you can combining of those methods. The selection of disruption method in general is not only based on how good the result are, but it is also adjusted to the ease of the method and the cost in cure. Therefore, if we want to disrupt virus, we don't have to advance method as I mentioned above. Heat treatment and buffer lysis is quite enough to lysis the virus, and it will save more money and time. Okay, in this part, we will talk about purification method. Start from challenge that user commonly face, principle of each technique, and what matter can improve the extraction result. Some samples, such as fibrous tissue or bone, can be difficult to disrupt and purify analytes from the sample. And small amount of sample there is a trend of smaller and smaller samples, such as needle biopsy. It's very important that none of the precious material is lost during the disruption of purification process. Of course, small sample contain small amount of RNA, DNA, or protein, so they require method that is able to maximize the sample yield. And for lysis without degradation, a user will always want a purification method where a lysis of the sample does not result in degradation of the analytes. In order to preserve the levels of those analytes present in the sample at the time of harvest. And related to removal of metabolites and enzyme inhibitor, removal of sample debris, metabolite, and enzyme inhibitor is key to make sure one get a pure sample and ensure that any downstream assay are successful. And about quick and easy processing of sample, user want to spend less and less time on tedious tasks such as processing of their sample and more time doing their actual experiment. In this part, we will talk about the fundamental of each technology, both home brew and modern method. Before QIAGEN revolutionized the purification of nucleic acid, scientists often had to resort to very lengthy libraries and often dangerous homebrew technique. If they wanted one of the most prevalent homebrew technique was CSCL purification, CSCL gradient centrifugation. With this technique, the DNA molecule are separated on the basis of their density and visualized with ethidium bromide. And this very long procedure require several centrifugation steps, several toxic reagents, and the use of hypodermic needle poking through a tube filled with a strong mutagen. In front of a high intensity UV light bulb, we can visualize this all. When people wanted a very pure DNA, they would go through this long, complicated process twice. So 2 times CL gradient purification result in a purity that was considered as a gold standard. Okay. And then salting out is a common use technique for purifying DNA from various sample types. The basic procedure is that high salt concentration are added to the aqueous solution, which force the DNA to precipitate out of solution, and the precipitated DNA can then be separated from the rest of the solution by centrifugation. And finally, the pellet is washed and then suspended in a low salt buffer. Okay. Here's an absorbance spectrum from 220 to 320 nanometer. A technique frequently used to assess the purity of nucleic acid. Even a tiny amount of phenol contamination, will shift the absorbance curve, representing pure nucleic acid. This is because phenol itself absorbs strongly in 280, 260 to 280 nanometer range. If the phenol has not been completely removed from the sample, both the concentration and purity measurement of the nucleic acid will almost certainly be wrong. More importantly, phenol contamination acts as an inhibitor of all downstream assays. So you can, through this graph, you can compare which one you want to choose as your method for extraction. Here we can see what method can give best purity and give less time to do it. QIAGEN was founded on the basis of anion exchange chromatography, a process that is shown here. In moderate salt and low or natural pH condition, nucleic acid bind to the anion exchange resin. In high salt and moderate to high pH, the nucleic acid is released from the resin. The process happens because in low salt condition, DNA or RNA will have more negative charge. So negative charge DNA can bound to charge positive resin by ionic bond. Meanwhile, in high salt condition, the positive charge of the resin particle are shielded by negative charge of the salt and therefore cannot bind to DNA. As you can imagine, the tighter the binding of the DNA to the resin, the more vigorously the resin can be washed, resulting in very pure DNA without running the risk of losing the DNA in the process. Here, general workflow: bind, wash, elute, and dissolve is I think is similar with another modern technology. By far, the most commonly used method for purification of nucleic acid is silica technology. When mixed with caltropic salt and alcohol under low pH condition, nucleic acid bind to the silica. When these conditions are reversed, nucleic acid are released from the resin. Nucleic acid purified with silica can be used for most applications performed in today's molecular biology laboratory. And let's take a closer look at how this process works. Nucleic acid are soluble in water because they have an affinity for the order structure of water. Caltropic salt disrupt the water structure, creating chaos. When the structure is disrupted, the nucleic acid have a greater probability of interacting with the order structure of silica, which somewhat resemble water normal structure. And all of this is the basis of silica purification. Okay, purification. Okay, purification using QIAGEN silica technology is again based on a simple bind, wash, elute procedure. And nucleic acid bind to silica in the presence of caltropic salt. Contaminating other small molecules are removed with caltropic wash, which also work to ensure that the desired nucleic acid remain bound to the silica. Because caltropic salt is inhibitory to downstream application, it has to be removed with alcohol, and the alcohol also inhibit downstream application, so it has to be removed as well. This is done with drying step. Now the pure nucleic acid is eluted from the silica and ready for use without further concentration. And actually, using this technology, this procedure is very fast, easy, comes in many formats, including membrane and bits, and can even be automated. Here the comparison of all method here, both home and modern technology. So we can see here still anion action is still good compared to silica, but of course there are some advantage using silica, because with using membrane silica, you don't have to worry there is contaminant will co-purify with your DNA or RNA samples. For optimizing extraction, the user have to consider carefully of each step extraction. In pre-extraction step, the first thing to focus on is sample knowledge. Understanding the type and nature of the sample is crucial for a successful extraction. And then we hope we can use dedicated kit that designed specifically for your sample and can greatly enhance the efficiency and accuracy of the extraction process. And for the extraction step, during the extraction phase, the use of the enhancer can improve the yield and purity of the extracted nucleic acid. Additionally, it's important to perform genome DNA post depletion to remove unwanted genomic DNA and ensuring that the target nucleic acid are isolated more effectively. Also, utilizing one sample for separate DNA RNA solution can streamline the process and provide comprehensive result. And for the post-extraction step, finally, this step involves a proper quality control step. This is essential to verify and the integrity and quality of the extracted nucleic acid before proceed to downstream amplification. Okay. This is in the pre-extraction step, you can see you have to knowing your sample properly and deeply. For the example, you have to know what inhibitor level that reside in your sample and what the toughness level of your sample and what the target DNA RNA of interest concentration in your sample. So by this information, you can determine what method and what kit you can choose. For the if you confuse about how you can process your sample and can get a better result, you just go to a commercial kit, and in the commercial kit, commonly they can provide a dedicated kit for your sample. And in QIAGEN itself, we provide 80 dedicated kit. So you can imagine how much sample type they can process. For genome DNA host depletion, here actually the basis of the kit is the kit have to possess buffer releases for host cell, so it's strong enough for host cell and weak enough for microbe cell. And after that, after DNA host release, there are several compounds we can use. First, we can use DNase enzyme with high effective activity, such as benzonase and moidenase. And we can use microbial selective enzyme. This can digest DNA host also. And after that, we can selectively take out the DNA host by capture methylated host DNA and capture non-methylated CpG dinucleotide compounds. And based on journal I read, each type sample has own effective host depletion method. So the utilization of these 4 compounds, you have to consider it and for each sample. So at the first step, you have to back to journal to determine which one the best. And why is then host depletion so important? Yes, because then host depletion, it will affect to the result in upstream analysis. For example, here for NGS method, DNA host depletion, it will increase read number microbial DNA, and then we'll make it cost efficiency, and it will make avoid false alpha diversity result and avoid false beta diversity result. For the extraction multimodal, we can extract DNA and RNA simultaneously in a separate place, and generate reduced bias for association genotype and phenotype study. And QIAGEN has a solution for the extraction kit is All-Prep DNA or RNA mini kit. And for NGS kit, we have QIAseq multimodal panel. And for the dedicated kit, QIAGEN has around 80 dedicated kit, can do it manually, and the manual kit can be automatically using our instrument here, QIAcube. And for this manual, almost using silica technology. And for the AZ2 Connect MDX and QIAsymphony is an automated instrument that use magnetic bits. Here's the list of the dedicated kit that QIAGEN have. And this is enhancer compound. If you know that your sample type had DNA target with low concentration, so you can use carrier RNA. So carrier RNA itself can enhance binding of nucleic acid to the silica membrane, and can result in improved recovery nucleic acid. And also carrier RNA can bind to the bottom of plasticware, so it will increase it will increase recovery DNA target or RNA target to the final step. So for post extraction step, we have to do quality control of the result of the extraction result. Here, commonly we use nanodrop and qubit. There are several weakness and strengths in nanodrop. The accuracy in nanodrop is little low, and meanwhile qubit high. And for the concentration, nanodrop only can detect accurately, more accurate if the concentration above 2 nanogram per microliter. And for the qubit, this instrument can detect accurately if the concentration sample above 100 picogram per mil. And the advantage of nanodrop is this instrument can measure purity, and qubit doesn't have it. And nanodrop, there's no additional reagent, so it's more cost effective. And qubit is have additional reagent that the reagent is more is pricey, I think. So it's not cost effective. Actually, there not only purity or concentration, the quality control have to involve integrity value. So the integrity value is quite important if we have to determine what upstream workflow we want to choose. For example, if we want to choose NGS long read, so the integrity value must be high. It must be high. But if you want to choose NGS short read, the integrity we can ignore it. This is actually for metagenomic study. QIAGEN have a solution in one package from DNA extraction to analysis. Especially for microbiome study, we have dedicated kit for stool sample and for soil sample. Here we have QIAm PowerFecal Pro DNA. And for the soil sample, we have DNAZ PowerSoil Pro. This kit have a new technology for removal inhibitor. So when you found you will find the result is has highest purity in the end. And for the analysis tools, we provide free in website, QIAGEN website. So you don't need additional software to analyze the raw data from the NGS instrument. If you need the kit for host depletion, we have QIAm DNA microbiome kit. Here we have two main component to act as host depletion. First, buffer AHL is a lysis buffer for hot cell, and benzonase is an DNA enzyme to eliminate hot cell. And here, QIAm DNA microbiome kit is using silica membrane silica membrane technology. So it's easy to use, it's easy to do. This is our internal trial. We can see here Tri-M DNA microbiome kit give percentage of human DNA lowest than other competitor. And if we compare with the mocking community, so in the mocking community, we know abundance of bacteria or microbiome exactly. And if we compare with KM then microbiome kit using the mocking community sample, it will result the similar result compared to other competitor, as you can see in this picture. And this is stabilization reagent is PowerProtect DNA RNA. So here by using this PowerProtect DNA will storage in indefinite time, so long, so you don't have to worry if you have to storage DNA in -80 or -20 for 4 years. And also for RNA, we can the fragile nucleic acid, it will make longer lifetime, at least 2 months in 4 degree to 20 room temperature Celsius. Okay, this is the workflow by using PowerProtect DNA RNA. It's quite easy. You don't have to purchase additional instrument or additional consumable.
Okay, thank you. So are there any more questions? If not, then please go ahead with the last part, please.
Okay. Okay, this is the last part. It's talk about NGS. And this is a completed workflow of NGS method, but now we only talk about library construction here. Okay. When we talk about next generation sequencing, right, the term library frequently comes up. Here, a library refers to DNA fragment that have been prepared for sequencing on NGS instrument. These DNA fragments are attached to various sequence for different purpose. I will explain you one by one of the part of this fragment. For the sequence label 1 and 6 are used to attach the library to a solid surface for clonal amplification and sequencing. And the solid surface here is known as flow cell in the Illumina system. And for the sequence label number 2 and 4 are used by sequence primer to initiate sequencing. So sequencing primer will attach here to initiate the sequencing. And for number 3, this is the sequence that describe the amplicon or the target DNA that we want to sequence that and we want to analyze. And for the sequence number 5, generally this is the index sequence that act as a marker for each sample. And this allow multiple sample to be run simultaneously in a process known as multiplexing. Okay. Regarding utilization of NGS in metagenomic study, we can divide it NGS into 3 workflow: whole genome sequencing, whole exome sequencing, and targeted sequencing. Whole genome sequencing, we can get sequence all part of genome, include intron and exon. And for the whole exome, only 4 exome sequence. And target sequencing, we only get sequence for specific region, specific gene of interest, or specific exon of interest. Whole genome can provide, each workflow has weakness and strengths. Whole genome can provide more insight, can provide more insight, compare others, but produce much higher cost per sample. Meanwhile, whole exome is more focused and generate good quality data and a lower cost per sample. And meanwhile, regarding targeted sequencing, this workflow will sequence specific region or gene or exon, and the consequence is this workflow can detect more rare polymorphism or rare mutation and sequence more sample per run. So cost per sample is much lower here. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about library construction workflow in targeted sequencing. And this process starts with fragmentation, where the fragmentation is where the DNA is broken down in small pieces. And this is a crucial first step to make DNA manageable for sequencing. Next, we move to end repair and A-tailing here. In this step, the fragmented DNA are repaired, make a fragment blunt end, and after that add a single A nucleotide at the 3 end. And this modification is essential for the subsequent ligation of adapter. And after that, we perform ligation of UMI adapter. UMI is like a unique molecular index, unique molecular identifier are attached to DNA fragment. This unique sequence help to identify and quantifying individual DNA molecule and enhancing the accuracy of sequencing result. And the next step is target enrichment by single primer extension, or we can call it SPA. Here we use a single primer to selectively amplify our target region. So in this SPA method, we don't need specific forward and reverse to amplify specific region, because here forward reverse is conservatively attached in the adapter, and we researcher only thinking about design the one primer here in for the specific region. So it make user more easy to design or add some primer to the assay. This is our technology. It's a newest technology. After that, we proceed to sample indexing and amplification. During this phase, index sequence are added to the DNA fragment. This index allow multiple sample to be sequenced together in a single run, so-called multiplexing. And we also amplify. After that, we also amplify the DNA to ensure we have sufficient quantity for sequencing. And finally, we arrive at the sequencing ready library. And at this point, our DNA fragments are fully prepared, complete with the necessary adapter and index, making them ready for the sequencing process. So that's why this process we say it as library preparation. So it means we have to prepare the fragment of our interest to can be processed to in NGS instrument. So for the target sequencing have limitation, especially in number of region or gen that can be sequenced. For more number region or gene or to achieve whole exome sequencing, we can utilize other method that the name is hybrid capture method. So what necessary what the component we need here is the first we have to prepare library preparation first. After that, generally this process is select what library can be sequenced by enrichment step. So the process start with library preparation. As I explained to you, here adapter are ligated to the ends of the fragmented DNA, and these adapter are critical for facilitating hybridization, amplification, and subsequent sequencing step. Before we move to the core hybridization step here, the blocking step is introduced. This step involves using blocking oligonucleotide. It's like short DNA sequence designed to bind to adapter sequence or repetitive region in DNA. And the purpose of this blocking is to prevent non-specific binding of the hybridization probe to this common sequence, ensuring that the probes only bind to the specific target region of interest. Now, after that, we proceed to hybridization phase, where a pool of biotin label probes is introduced. These probes are complementary to the specific DNA sequence we aim to capture. This probe binds selectively to the target region within the DNA library here. Meanwhile, non-target region remain unbound. After hybridization, the capture process takes place. Streptavidin-coated magnetic bit are added to the mixture. This bit specifically bound to the biotin here, allowing for the physical separation of the target DNA probe hybrid from the rest of the library. And the bits within with the bound target DNA are then using magnet separated, effectively capturing the DNA fragment of interest. And after capture, we perform wash and elution step. The captured DNA is truly washes to remove any non-specifically bound sequence sequence the purified. After that, we get the region of fragment of interest. We do PCR amplification to increase the quantity of the captured DNA, ensuring there's enough material for accurate sequencing. Okay. Yeah, that's all my presentation for NGS.